All right, welcome into the program, Felger and Maserati. No Felger, no Mazz, no Big Jim Murray. Sorry. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth here with you on an afternoon. Big afternoon, AB, because we are getting set for the NFL season.
It's game week, Dondero.
Game week.
It's game week.
We're going to preview a football game today. We're going to talk about the football team a lot today. I have a lot of different things I have to get to. I have notes on weird little pieces of paper. I don't know why I wrote them here, but I did. A big discussion needs to go down about Drake Maye. It's a developing opinion that has continued to bother me, but I finally figured out where I stand, my footing, and all those things associated with what's going on, because this is obviously a huge moment for this player, and he's obviously a very important player for what the New England Patriots are going to try to do this season. Okay, so we got a lot going on in that regard. But first, I wanted to get your takeaway on the Mike Vrabel press conference, because I'm getting upset over one specific topic that will impact the Patriots greatly if he is not available early in the season. And I'm talking about Christian Gonzalez, because I didn't really love what I heard, Alex, in terms of what Mike Vrabel had to say about his status and his injury, which he has been trying to recover from for, correct me if I'm wrong, but over 1 month.
I think it's a little over a month now.
What did you take away from what Mike Vrabel had to say about Christian Gonzalez? Because this is not a team, as we all know, loaded with endless amounts of talent. They need their top guys, and I didn't feel all that comfortable with what I heard. What did you hear?
So Gonzalez just first off got hurt on July 28th, so almost exactly a month ago, a little over a month ago. I don't know if we have the exact audio, if we want to listen to it and react. He didn't rule out Gonzalez playing this week, but he didn't sound super optimistic either. My big takeaway on Gonzalez' big picture has been, I'd rather they play it slow with him. I'd rather they be careful with him. He is, like you said, it's a team with not a lot of talent. He's far and away the most talented player on the roster. He's an all-pro. You don't want to rush him back and risk losing him longer term over the course of this season. But in terms of week one, I've always kind of felt this upcoming Wednesday, right, that first real game week practice, the usual game week, the team goes in on Monday, they go back over the film the day before. Tuesday's usually just meetings, you're not on the field. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are the practices, with Wednesday being the bulk of the install. I've kind of felt like if he's not out there Wednesday, that's when I'll go from, call it capital W worried or from lowercase w worried to capital W worried. Right now, I get it, he's banged up, but I'm okay if they're taking their time. You're concerned because he's a good player, but maybe not that immediate concern. If he's not out there on Wednesday when they really start to gear up for the Raiders, okay, now I'm definitely more worried. I'd always kind of felt like 50-50 about it. After hearing Vrabel today, he didn't sound overly optimistic that Gonzalez is going to be back in time for that.
Did he sound frustrated?
Maybe a little. He did say something in here, if I can find it, talking to Gonzalez here. Here's the quote. I wouldn't anticipate him out here today, so hopefully that improves, but he's working hard and trying to improve. He wants to be out there. I think what's good for us and for Christian and the team is to try to not be frustrated. Obviously, those things happen, and that's how we respond to them. And then he was asked a follow-up about being frustrated and asked if he personally was frustrated, and he meant it more in his experience as a player, and it can be frustrating for a player when you're not out there.
Okay. I don't know where they are. Obviously, Mike Vrabel is establishing his program.
Yep.
I heard Bill Parcells talk about this a long time ago, and I've never really been able to find the quote. It's driven me crazy. It's actually been one of the most...
We all have a couple of quotes like that
in my career that has driven me crazy. But he talked about a culture of injuries. Okay, and I think for the Patriots, that has been a problem at times under Bill Belichick and over the course of years. I'm not going to call out Christian Gonzalez for being hurt. However, it does appear possibly that when he gets hurt hard. Because in his rookie year, it was a shoulder injury. It ended up costing him the season. It's fine. I think he had surgery. Yeah. And now I get a hamstring tweak on July 28th, very early on into camp. And he's been out a month. Now, maybe it's just been more serious than they let us believe. Maybe it's just been, they didn't want to tell us how serious it was going to be. One of those lower leg injuries like that you see in hockey, a lower body injury.
Lower body, yep.
So I don't know. All I do know is that I'm frustrated that a hamstring injury is going to keep a player out from the beginning of, especially if it was just something that appeared to be somewhat of a tweak, a pull, something like that. They're going to be out for the entire camp and now possibly into the regular season. That would frustrate me based on the resources that NFL teams have, based on all the time that this player has to get back onto the field. I don't know if he's frustrated. That would frustrate me. I'm just a radio host. That would frustrate me. I would like to see their best player, best defender out there, especially when you've had 5-6 weeks to recover. So I brought up the culture of injuries thing because I would like the Patriots, not that they should be, playing through pain or putting themselves at risk, but you got to get out there. You got to be out there. And this team needs you out there. And you injured it wasn't some collision that was unavoidable. I'm frustrated, and it might not even be his fault. Maybe it was more serious than we think. They don't tell us everything, but I'm frustrated that there's even a question that he's going to be unavailable for week 1. And this goes back to Cole Strange. Like, I don't understand what happened to Cole Strange. His knee injury took him out for how long? Now, maybe it was just...
Well, that was like a really, really bad... It was a torn patella tendon. That was a significant... And he had a major setback. He had to relearn how to walk at one point.
Right.
That was a very, very, very significant injury.
And maybe it's just that they're making it... They're not letting us know how severe it is.
Well, yeah.
But it ruined his time here, arguably. It might have been... Maybe he just sucks.
It didn't help. But no, that was that's as severe... an injury is you can kind of have, especially in terms of the lower body, in terms of his kneecap essentially ripped off his knee, as I understand it.
So that's disappointing. That's tough, and obviously it's a shame he could never get established kind of a position here and a place here. But Christian Gonzalez, I'm frustrated that I either don't know more or that he pulled up lame on July 28th and is not going to be ready for the regular season opener, possibly. That would frustrate me. I don't know how severe the injury is.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
What's more frustrating? And look, he's been out. The initial reporting at the time was he was going to be back for week 1. Again, if he's back Wednesday,
sure,
I'm not worried about it. So it's a little maybe premature, but we are hosting Felger and Mazz. We do have a show to do today, right? Sure. What would frustrate you more? If he misses the first couple games because they want to make sure he's truly 100% when he comes back, or if he plays on Sunday at like 80%, retweaks it, and now he's out for 6 weeks. Because the second one would frustrate me more, admittedly. Now, I do think, this is a little longer than we were initially led on. And I'm not saying it's not worth talking about. But my takeaway is, if they rush him back and he gets hurt again, now I think you're in bigger trouble than if he just misses a game or two to start the season. Ideally, obviously, he misses no time. And if this is more an issue of him being slow to rehab, obviously that raises eyebrows. But if it's their management of it, I would much rather them be cautious, personally. I don't know if you feel differently, but I would rather he miss 2 weeks and he's back 100%, he plays the rest of the season, than he goes out there Sunday, comes up lame again, and now we don't see him again until November.
No, I feel the same as you.
Okay.
I feel the same way. Okay, but I'm frustrated, and again,
no, it is frustrating. That's fair.
I don't have a leg to stand on here. No pun intended. Maybe I do, but the fact that he comes into camp again, if it was some unavoidable thing or a freak injury, maybe something like
that's what his rookie year was. He tore his labrum rookie year trying to make a tackle. Okay. That was different. This is like a soft tissue thing. A
soft tissue thing when you had just gotten to camp. I wish he was more prepared. I don't know. Was he not prepared? Was he not stretched?
I don't know.
We don't know that. So the whole injury just frustrated me, but it's a tweak. Maybe he's back soon. Now we're going on a month. Now we're going on over a month. Now you might not be ready for the initial game that your team has been waiting to play for 9 months. I just want your best players to be available, and I don't want an injury to occur, and I frankly want you to feel like it's unacceptable to be injured at that time. I want you to be out there because you're the best player on the team, and that frustrates me. It's not his fault necessarily, but I'm frustrated that a hamstring injury that far in the past is going to jeopardize him for week 1, and maybe it won't. Maybe, like you said, he'll be back on Wednesday.
Again, I'm perfectly fine with them slow playing it. I wonder if he was a guy who was competing for a roster spot, if he would have been back sooner. I'm fine playing it safe with that guy because you need that guy long-term. You need that guy long-term this season, and you need that guy long-term. We've talked about them being in this rebuild. He is a cornerstone of the rebuild. Drake May's number 1 by default because he's the quarterback. Christian Gonzalez is probably number 2. What they're ultimately building to, and they did a chunk of that this offseason, but what they're ultimately building to revolves around Christian Gonzalez on a large extent. And rushing him back and blowing that for a week 1 game against the Raiders, who, by the way, don't really have that much wide receiver talent, especially beyond Jacoby Myers, like that would be a little bit of a panic move to me if they ultimately rushed him back and he got hurt again, whether it be in camp or whether it be in week 1.
I don't want him hurt again. Right. I don't want him at risk again. Maybe I'm just annoyed that it appeared to be an injury that was just sort of a tweak, and he had to manage it, and he was going to be back sooner rather than later. And
it does feel notable that, again, the initial reporting was he'd be back for week 1, and here we are on the doorstep of week 1, and he's still not back. Like, it does feel like we'll see Wednesday. If he's out there Wednesday, again, this is all void, but, like, if he's not out there Wednesday, okay, well, what happened between that initial reporting and now, or was the initial reporting wrong? And maybe they to your point, they didn't put out there how significant it was initially, and they knew it was more significant than it was.
The only reason I bring up the culture of injuries thing is because I don't want the team to get comfortable being injured.
You don't want a soft team. Like, that totally makes sense.
And I'm not calling him soft. I don't know what happened.
Right.
I'm just saying you don't want a team that, hey, if I'm injured, I'm making sure I'm going to be 100% before I come out, full 100% before I'm going to come back. Because I get it. It's a long season. You got to be right. You have your financial implications and different things that you're concerned with. But this team needs talent on the field. Okay? And to get injured when he got injured, I was annoyed in the moment that he wasn't, because now we're talking about, at worst, he's going to be out there after not having any training camp.
See, I'm not super worried about that, because at that position, it's you're studying the individual receiver each week. Like, and Mike Vrabel talked about today, they're going to play a lot of man coverage. It's more about studying your individual opponent than it is playing within the scheme. So maybe like physical conditioning wise, there's some questions. I'm not worried about him being out there and not knowing what to do once he gets out there, because he's going to study whoever the receiver he's on. Would probably be Jacoby Myers this week if he plays, and he's going to have that guy's route tree and patterns and rhythm and all of that down. To something you said earlier, though, so it reminds me of an old Ray Lewis quote. There's playing hurt versus playing injured, right? Yeah. If you're injured, you can't play. You have something physically preventing you from playing at your best, but playing hurt is just a matter of willpower and toughing it out, and you kind of want, when you say the culture of injuries thing, my mind went right to that Ray Lewis quote. There's playing hurt and there's playing injured.
And I get it. Some people heal a little quicker than others.
Which is what Vrabel said today when he was asked about a potential setback.
So, look, this team has a lot of pressure. They need to respond now, okay? I feel like some people are kidding themselves. This is the time for this team to respond, and we're going to get into that. They need to respond now, early, and often, and they need to really be a team that's producing and winning and is not looking back, and it certainly isn't looking anything like they've looked in the last few years. It has to happen now, mainly because of the quarterback. By the way, cornerback, historically a frustrating position because of, I just think that how many quarterbacks have really great years year in and year out? You know what I mean? It feels like sometimes once you've established you're a great corner, you have that one good year, you're never as good. And I'm not saying they're a waste of money or you don't want to, but I mean, a guy like, who's the guy? Remind me of Josh Norman was an example of that. I feel like he had one good year. Then for the rest of his career. Or Nnamdi Asomugha. So
Nnamdi Asomugha is the guy who comes to mind for me because teams stopped throwing at him for 3 years, just almost it felt like out of respect. And then 1 year, so they were just like, let's throw at this guy and see if he's still good. Josh Norman's an interesting one because Josh Norman was so good because of his physicality. Where he fell off is his quickness fell off with age, and he wasn't the same player. Christian Gonzalez is just such a smooth mover.
Yeah.
I feel like he's built. He is the prototype of the corner that has more sustained success than the guy that's the one-year wonder because he's just more of a natural mover, and that's what it all comes down to. How quick can you flip your hips, right? How well can you backpedal, things like that, like non-natural movements. How smooth do you look doing that? When he was coming out of the draft, that was the number one thing for me with Christian Gonzalez, was how well he moved no matter how he was moving. And that's the kind of thing that translates over the course of years, but you obviously have to be healthy to do it.
how well he moved no matter how he was moving.
So, like, if he's in the back pedal,
Gotcha.
if he's turning his hips, if he's looking over his shoulder,
Sure.
like, he just looks like he's on skates. He's just gliding. However he's moving across the field, he's gliding. And that's a rare ability and so important for a cornerback.
617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth in for Felger and Mazz.
More Felger and Mazz and you on the way on the Sports Hub.
perceive as injury riddled injury. And I'm not saying it's unfair for Christian Gonzalez to be tabbed that yet, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think you're a little premature.
I'm premature. Unless he starts missing games because of a hamstring injury on July 28th. If he starts missing games because of that in the regular season, I don't think it's unfair. 2 of the first 3 seasons, we'll see how long it lasts, have been hindered by injury. That's not a good ratio. So I want my players playing. And, I want them out there. Let's go to the phones. David is in the car. David, how are you?
Good. How are you guys? So this is a contract situation. This is Gonzalez's contract year because if you're a stud player, you're going to get paid after your 3rd year in the league. So there's no way this is, unless he tore the hamstring, which they would have known from an MRI. This is him jaking. Put it this way, he's not going on the field unless he's 1,000% healthy, A. B, he's not tackling anybody. And C, he's only going to start jumping routes because he gets paid based on picks. And the other thing is, Drake Maye and him are the 2 best players. And if Drake Maye is making $50 million and Gonzalez is making $35 million a couple years from now, the one team they both will not be on is this one because they don't pay anybody. And that's why he's jaking the injury.
Well, that's not fair to say that about Drake Maye because they're going to need a quarterback, and if Drake Maye's a quarterback, he's going to be on this team.
I'll say this
is
too,
not a contract situation at this point.
Given the year he had last year,
yep.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What do you think would hurt Christian Gonzalez's value more in 2025 if he is 80% of the player he was last year, not 85% of the player takes a slight step back, or for 16 or 17 games, right? Maybe misses 1 or 2, but plays the majority of the season, but is slightly a worse player, or if he plays at the level he played last year, but only does so for 8 or 10 games and misses a lot of time. What hurts his value more? I think it's missing time. I get what the caller's saying. It's not a holdout because they can't extend him yet. You can't sign him to an extension until the end of the season. I think, especially given, and we were talking about this during the break, Mike Vrabel has a history of kind of calling out players for being repeat offenders with soft tissue injuries. I think it actually hurts Gonzalez's value more if he misses significant time as opposed to if he plays the whole season and just is slightly worse than he was last year.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think if he plays worse, I feel like, and for me...
So not significantly worse.
I would say missing time. Because like I said, for you, that's 2 of 3 years. You've missed time, and now I have you as an injury guy.
Right.
And I don't want that. I don't like that. You're too enamored with being injured. You're always injured. There's always a problem. I hate that. Okay? But I don't know what NFL executives think, and maybe if he's out there, they might think that the league figured him out a little bit, and he wasn't 100%, but he wasn't playing well, and that's the recent tape I have to see, and that's going to affect his earnings.
The tape from last year opened up the eyes of a lot of people. Again, if he plays slightly worse, he might not get quite as much, but he's still going to be taken care of, significantly. If he misses a lot of time, now you get into the conversation of, well, we don't want to give you a long-term contract because of the injury thing. You're talking about now tenure becoming a part of the conversation if he's hurt. The AAV might be impacted more by playing worse, but the overall money he's going to get, I think, is impacted a lot more if he misses significant time due to injury as opposed to if he takes a slight step back. Slight. Obviously, if he's significantly worse, that's going to impact it. But if he's more or less the guy he was last year, just misses All-Pro instead of second-team All-Pro, but he plays 17 games, he's still going to set the record for the highest cornerback contract. Sauce Gardner had a down year last year, and he got the record-breaking contract. So there is some precedent for that. I don't think Sauce Gardner was an All-Pro last year.
That's fine. And that's a good point.
He was not. He was not an All-Pro last year.
So look, I was uncomfortable, and he proved me wrong because we sort of anointed him after 4 games his rookie season. He was very good last year. He's a very good player.
Yeah.
And this goes into my whole philosophy into what NFL football is today. I don't know how impactful a good cornerback. I don't even know what type of player outside of a quarterback you have to win a championship. Who is the key piece? Is it a wide receiver? Is it a number one? Is that the second most important play?
It so much depends on how you want to play, and I don't think there's one definitive answer to that. You obviously need other marquee players, but Are you a team that's going to run the ball a lot? Are you a team that's more of a quick strike offense? Are you a big play offense? How do you play defensively? Do you play man or zone? That might go into, is a pass rusher more valuable than a corner? The dollars, so I'll just say this. You follow the money, right? The dollars tell us after quarterback, and I don't remember the exact order, but it's pass rusher, corner, tackle. Pass rusher, receiver, tackle. Those are the next three more important positions. Money-wise, corner is a close fourth. So if you want to go off the money, it would be that. But, okay, if tackle's the second most important, you don't have that, but you have a really good receiver and a really good pass rusher and a really good corner, can you get by? That was the Chiefs at one point in time. I don't think there's one definitive, okay, you have the quarterback, now you have to go get player B. I don't think it necessarily works like that anymore.
I don't know if... I don't know the answer.
I don't think there is an answer.
I don't think you need a number 1A top of the league cornerback to win a Super Bowl. I don't. I think you can win one with Bs. If you have 2 B cornerbacks, I think that's good enough depending on how good your defense is, how deep your defense is. And this is a conversation we can have another time. But with the Patriots, they need playmakers wherever they can find them.
Correct.
And that's why they need this player on the field. And I'm sorry. I'm annoyed. Okay? I'm annoyed that he's been out this long with a hamstring injury. Unless it's something more severe than what I've been told, I'm annoyed. If it's a pulled hamstring, you get treatment every single day, multiple times a day. You're stretching. I mean, you should have been, I don't know. I just wish it didn't happen the way it happened, and it's frustrating because I want this team at full strength, 100%, and I want to see what they have got against these teams they're going to play. The Raiders, the Dolphins. Those are going to be good tests, AB. That's going to be a good game against the Raiders. Who's going to cover Brock Bowers? Who's going to cover... we're obviously going to be interested in the Max Crosby matchup, but there are matchups that are juicy. And this team has been so down, so out. I want to see how they do. And like I said a few minutes ago, they need to perform. They need to get back on track and start winning football games. And when we get back on Felger and Mazz, I'm going to tell you exactly why that has to happen now. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth. We're going to get a headlines from Barthy, and then we're back on Felger and Mazz on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Red Sox kicking off a series against the Cleveland Guardians today at Fenway Park. They jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first, but Brian Bale allowing 3 runs in the top of the second, and that's your score right now, 3-2 in the bottom of the second, although the Red Sox do have a couple of runners on. The New England Patriots began their first game week of the season with a practice earlier today. Christian Gonzalez, the lone player not spotted. Patriots also announcing their 6 captains for the 2025 season. Drake Maye, Hunter Henry, Robert Spillane, Harold Landry, Marcus Jones, and Brendan Schooler. Of those 6, only Hunter Henry has been a captain before New England. Robert Spillane was a captain previously in Las Vegas. College football week 1 wraps up tonight with Bill Belichick making his UNC debut at home against TCU. In a top 10 matchup last night, number 10 Miami beat number 6 Notre Dame 27-24. And welcome to those of you joining us, I believe, it's third quarter between the Atlanta Dream and Connecticut Sun. And it is tied 64-64 with a minute to go in the third. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the McGovern Auto Group. McGovern and 98.5 The Sports Hub are giving away a brand new Ford F-150. For more info on how to enter, follow 98.5.
happy. You could just say yes or no.
Okay.
Would you be happy if Drake Maye turned into any of these following quarterbacks?
Sure.
All right. Trevor Lawrence.
Jury's still out. Probably not the way he's trending. Sorry, Kendra.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah. Yeah, if he ultimately has that kind of career. I mean, Dak's a legitimate starting quarterback, fringe top 10 in the league, sure.
Justin Herbert, as of where he stands right now.
Justin Herbert individually, yes. I think he gets dragged down by that team a lot. But Justin Herbert's
Kyler Murray.
No.
Brock Purdy.
Probably not.
Okay.
That's like my floor.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and we've been trying to figure out what this quarterback is, and obviously we don't know that yet. We got to see. Here's the deal. The New England Patriots need to be over 500 this year. They need to be over 500 this year. We're going to have a problem. Now, are we going to have a problem as in Drake Maye is a bust? No, he's not a bust. But I'm not going to speak for the entire region. However, if you want Drake Maye to be a star quarterback, a top-tier quarterback, I mean, who are the top quarterbacks in the league? I have right now Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts in no specific order.
So wait, what was that last list, though? Like, was there anything in...
I was just giving you names.
Okay.
Okay? Because here's what I'm saying. All of the top quarterbacks that are in the NFL currently, in year 2 as the starter, none of them had records below 500, and all of them went to the playoffs. Those are the best of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I'm just saying, based on numbers and wins and losses, you might not have all the stats. They might not have arrived at the place where they're going to be for the rest of their career. They might not be at their very best. But all of the top quarterbacks found a way into the playoffs and found a way to have winning records at the least in their second full season as a starting quarterback. So if you think Drake Maye, he's not going to probably be Brady. He's not going to necessarily be Mahomes. But if you wanted to be in that top tier, his second year, that team, especially with the resources that they have, Mike Vrabel, especially with Josh McDaniels back in the mix, all the additions they made defensively, the wide receiver room, which I am higher on. It's not great, but I'm higher on them than a lot of people. You need to be over 500 as a second-year starting quarterback, or else it spells doom and gloom. And that list... That first list I rattled off, those are all guys that were around 500 in their second year.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering.
So Jordan Love, his second year, 63% completions, 25-11 TD to interception, 9-6. Trevor Lawrence, his second year, 66%, 25-8, 9-8. They did win a playoff game. Dak Prescott, his second year, 63%, 22-13, 9-7. Herbert, 66%, 38-15 TD to INT, 9-8. Tua, 68%, 16-10, 7 wins, 5 losses. Kyler Murray, 67%, 26-12, 8-8 his second year. Brock Purdy, he went 12-4 his second year, and he was at 69% completions, 31-11. My point is, I have seen a lot of quarterbacks maybe not have a lot of... What I don't see is a quarterback have a brutal second year, be 4-13, 5-12, and then turn it around and become a star, top-tier quarterback. I haven't seen that. I've seen quarterbacks have good second years and drop off and not be the quarterback we thought, but I never see it where you had a poor second year, your team was way below 500, and then you became the elite superstar that we were hoping. So if the Patriots and or all the people that are supporting Drake Maye, this guy included, if they want him to be the quarterback that we're all hoping, he produces his tail off this year, and they have a winning record. That's what the numbers say. And I don't even like numbers, but that's what they say.
No, that's fair. We talked about this when we were on over the weekend, right? That for a lot of these guys that, some quarterbacks come into the league and just hit the ground running, right? Jaden Daniels was a stud from the start. But there are guys in the league who have become high-level quarterbacks. The last 2 MVPs, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, who did not have a perfect start. You know, they were fine, but did not have a perfect start, but got there. And I know with Lamar Jackson, there's some extenuating circumstances. What?
I mean, his second year was a pretty perfect season.
His rookie year was rough, and then they changed the offense. But even some of these guys that have developed late, I use the example, and we'll ultimately see what he does this year, but I use the example of Bryce Young. Bryce Young did not have a good rookie year. He got benched last year at one point, but you look what he did down the stretch after he got benched, those last 8 games. He was really good. I mean, he was playing like a franchise quarterback. And whether it's him, whether it's Allen. You can sort of throw Joe Burrow into this conversation because he got hurt his first year. It's really that second half of the second season. If guys are going to make the jump, that's when it has to come. It can come sooner, and you obviously hope it comes sooner, but I give the guy really till the second half of the second season to start showing that he's growing and he's progressing. If Drake Maye is stagnant this year, then I think, to your point, you start to worry a little bit. If he comes out and he's a little slow, it's obviously not great, but I'm going to be looking at, once you get around Halloween, okay, does he start to show that upwards trajectory? Does he, I guess a simple way to put it, does he start to look like he's figured it out? I don't need to see it week one, but you want to see it as you get a month and a half into this second season. That's when you usually see that ascend start.
I appreciate that perspective, and I'm not saying you're dead wrong. I'm just saying the numbers are what they are. The top quarterbacks in their second full year started. Their second year starting, Lamar Jackson, 66% completions, 36-16. They were 14-2. Joe Burrow, his second year, 70% completions, 34-14 TD to INT, 10-7, but they made the Super Bowl. Josh Allen, the one we all talk about, 58% in his second year as a starter, 20-9 TD to INT, 10-6, made the playoffs. So it wasn't like it was a disaster. We all know about Mahomes. He set records in his second year. And even Jalen Hurts, 67%. Now they're loaded. 67% completion, 22-6, 14-1. They win. So I understand what you're saying about, hey, we got to give him the after Halloween and the second half of his second year. And if I see that's fine. But are they winning? Because the best quarterbacks, they step in and they find ways to win.
Well,
end of discussion.
So
they win.
Just to your point, Dondero. Yep. So you mentioned three. You mentioned there Lamar, Burrow, Hurts, right?
Yep.
Lamar Jackson, second year, he was good. The team started 2-2.
Okay.
And then went on a run. So there were questions about them early on. Joe Burrow, first 5 games of his second year, they were 3-2. Actually, I can go really to the first 9 games of his second year. They were 5-4. He'd thrown 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, almost 2-1, and then took off. Jalen Hurts, his second year, started 2-5. 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and then obviously had a significant second half. So even those guys you mentioned who were winning and made the playoffs, it was a second half surge for a lot of them. They weren't necessarily bad in the first half, but the numbers were significantly better. Again, Lamar Jackson's the first 4 weeks. Burrow, first 8 weeks of that season, he was pedestrian. He was fine. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. He was fine. And then he goes on an absolute heater to close out the year. And like you said, they go to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, same way, 2-5 to start that season, and then finishes 8-7. I think he missed a couple games in there, but even some of those guys you named, it was that second half. You want to call it the first quarter of the season is maybe where the wash is, maybe splitting it half and half. When you hit that second quarter of the season, when you hit October, when the leaves start changing color, you get that chill in the air. That's when you want to see the ascension. Doesn't have to come from week 1, but it does need to come in the second year.
Are you looking at Hurts in 2021 or 2022?
Oh, I might be on his first full season as a starter.
Because I went, and that's fine. That's fine. It's still, it's close enough, and that makes sense.
Burrow and Lamar, though, it still stands.
That's fine. And again, I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm okay with that, as long as the end of the year gives me what I need.
Sure.
And that's what it's, because those quarterbacks at the end of their second full season as starter, that's what this was off of, not their second full season.
Yeah, I clicked
that's
the wrong
okay.
thing on Hurts.
It's still the same thing. I just want, that's the reality. And I know Drake Maye didn't play at the beginning of last year, so it's a little bit, it's not like he was a full season as the starter last year, but he's still, based on the resources.
No, this counts as his second year.
It's his second year. It's his second year starting.
I'll give you this real quick. Josh Allen, second full year as a starter.
Yep.
6-3, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions to start the season. And then, again, goes on a tear.
So he was the second half where he really picked it up.
So I'll give you the second half here. Down the stretch, he goes 4-3, but he had 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He really cut back on the turnovers.
Great.
Which is what Drake Maye needs to do.
Okay. So he's, as of now, in line. But I'm just saying that, if the team starts out 1-3, 2-5, that's maybe we'll get a second half surge. I'm just saying it's this year. And I feel like there's some narrative out there where he can just sleepwalk through the season, and no matter what, well, Josh Allen took a few years to really find it. No. Josh Allen, the second year he went to the playoffs, they were okay.
Josh Allen went in, and I'm not a big Josh Allen guy, but Josh Allen went into 2020 playing like a top 5 quarterback. Like he was there. He was ready at the start of his third year. You don't go from being average at the end of your second year to being unbelievable at the start of your third year. Drake Maye needs to show progress over the course of this season.
And there's another reason why he needs to do that, and I'm going to tell you exactly why, and it has to do with Micah Parsons, okay? And we'll get into that real quick. We have a 5 questions not about sports. Anything you want on this Labor Day on Felger and Mazz with Mark Dondero and Alex Barth, 98.5, The Sports Hub. Their second full year as starter. Daniel Jones, 62%, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 5-9. Derek Carr, 61%, 32-13, 7-9. Justin Fields, 60%, 17-11, 3-12 record. And Geno Smith is going way back, but 60%, 13-13, TD to INT, 3-10. If you suck, you're probably going to lose games, and you're not going to be good even in your second year. So that's what happens in the second year. So the good news is we all think that Drake Maye is a good quarterback. I would expect a very good jump from Drake Maye this year to the tune of 9, 8, 10 wins.
Well, 8 wouldn't be over 500.
No, but at least if he's even decent, it
Unless
should be
they tie.
8.
I have him at 8. That's where I've been.
Yeah.
I have him at 8 to 9 wins. I know Beetle kind of cornered me last week and said I had to pick 8 or 9, so screw it, 8-1. I think they're a 500 team.
They're going to tie?
I think they're a 5. I hate that we don't have... I hate that there's an odd number of games on the schedule because this is a 500 team. I want to be able to say they're a 500 team, but they can't be 500 unless they tie.
If you think they're a 500 team, I would just go with 8 and 9.
I'll go. That's kind of what I've been doing, yeah.
Then that would say to me that Drake Maye is going to be a middle-of-the-road quarterback. Middle of the road. You know, he'll have some good seasons, but then he'll have some inconsistent seasons. Some seasons where they're okay, it's not great, and that's kind of what you're going to get.
So can I give you, there was a name you didn't give when you were going through the quarterbacks.
Please.
How'd you feel if he's Ryan Tannehill?
Horrific.
So,
awful.
Do you remember what Ryan Tannehill did for 3 years, those 3 years in Tennessee?
Yeah, I remember it was good.
They went 30-13. He was an all-pro, and they went to the AFC Championship game.
Okay.
I mean, like, if Drake Maye, if now you hope the peak isn't as short as Tannehill's was, obviously. I think that would be a disappointment. I'm with you. But with the same head coach, right, that was under Mike Vrabel, can he get to that sort of peak? I think if he gets to the same peak as Tannehill, I'd feel okay about that. And people are going to lose their... And you want the team to have more success around him. I'm just talking about the quarterback individually. I know he never made a Super Bowl, but to your point, if he's going to have some good years, he's going to have some bad years. Good years can mean a lot of different things. Like, I want to see if Mike Vrabel, if he is ultimately that guy, that okay quarterback, can Mike Vrabel get a couple of these above-the-ceiling seasons out of an okay quarterback the same way he got him out of Ryan Tannehill? Because then it becomes more about Vrabel.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but to me...
And I think he might be better than that. I'm just throwing that one out there.
Okay, I get it, and I would be disappointed because as the number 3 overall pick, Alex, I'm hoping for more. And maybe that's greedy of me. Maybe that's just me not being able to let go of the production and productivity of Tom Brady's illustrious career, and I get that, but I just want more than what Tannehill was in Miami.
I'm talking about Tennessee,
I know,
though.
but that's just a peak. I don't want a peak.
What if he has 6 years? What if he has 6 years of the 3 years Tannehill did?
Okay, then you're talking about more of a career and not a peak.
Right.
Then that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, if he's talking about, well, yeah, he went to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
I'll take AFC
They were the number 1
game.
seed.
Yeah. I'll take AFC Championship games.
So, to your point, we're like, what you just said, if they're 8-9, he's an okay quarterback. There's going to be some good years. There are going to be some bad years.
Exactly that.
What do the good years look like?
Okay.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm asking you. That's kind of what I'm putting back at you there.
And that's okay. I'm just telling you what the trends say to me, and I trust these trends. The best quarterbacks find ways immediately to win games and get their team in the playoff, regardless of who they have or what coaching staff, or is it the perfect situation? Like, obviously, Ryan Tannehill benefited from Mike Vrabel and the infrastructure that was available to him in Tennessee. Are you that type of quarterback where you need infrastructure and a perfect situation to thrive?
I don't know what's wrong about wanting to put your quarterback in a good situation. And the guys that you listed, a lot of them were in good situations. Some better than others, but a lot of them were in good situations. You look at what Jalen Hurts stepped into.
Right.
I mean, that was as turnkey as it gets. Lamar Jackson had a great play caller that tailored the offense to him. They built a unit around him that made sense with the personnel, all of that. Josh Allen had Brian Daboll, who's one of the best offensive minds in the game. I think we did this a little bit with Mac Jones, where people said, and there were bigger issues with Mac Jones, but I remember hearing people say, well, he's never going to make it because he can't handle it when it's ugly around him. To which I say, yeah, it would be great if he could do that, but why are we banking on having a situation where it's ugly around the quarterback? The plan should be to have the quarterback in as good of a situation as possible. So I would hope Mike Vrabel learned from that time in Tennessee, and it was going to take more than one offseason. I'm not saying it's ideal around Drake Maye right now, but that doesn't mean they can't get there. I would hope the plan is, with Drake Maye in place, we are going to tailor this around him as much as possible. That was my big takeaway coming away from their draft. Their top picks were a wide receiver whose skill set I think meshes well with the way Maye plays, a running back who's a home run threat, and two starting offensive linemen. That is a draft tailoring around your quarterback. They had maybe some other needs they could have addressed, at a pass rush or whatever. In my mind, they drafted with Drake Maye in mind, which is correct. Make things as easy on your quarterback as possible. And even if he is talented enough to overcome the bad situations, if he is in a good situation, that talent's only going to give you that much more.
And I'm not saying I don't want him to be in a good situation.
Sure.
I do want him to be. Obviously, I want a good situation around him. I'm just saying the best quarterbacks don't need a good, perfect situation to still be good.
Not perfect, but I think all those guys you named had certain things in place that helped them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Tom Brady doesn't win 6 Super Bowls if some coach off the street. Mike Nolan's the head coach.
Sure.
I don't know why
if
I
they
thought
keep
of Mike Nolan.
Pete Carroll instead of Bill Belichick.
He doesn't win 6 Super Bowls.
Right.
He maybe wins 1 Super Bowl. I don't know. There's probably other examples. Maybe if I don't like Aaron Rodgers the way he leads, but maybe he wins more than 1 Super Bowl if he didn't have Mike McCarthy all those years or something like that. So you need a good situation, but I just feel like the best of the best don't need that situation to get the team above 500 and in most cases in the playoffs. You're not going to win Super Bowls probably.
Yeah.
You need Reed and Mahomes. You need Sirianni and a loaded roster and Jalen Hurts to win the Super Bowl. But to
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins.
Weapons, right. But to get into the playoffs, you can do that with a decent situation and a really good quarterback. And that's what I'm saying. Drake Maye, we are going to see and find out this year what he is. In the trends, I believe in the trends. That's all I'm saying. Let's get a quick call in. Ron is in Medford, disagrees with me. Hey, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, look, Peyton Manning was 21 and 27 in his first 3 years. They still don't got a true number one. He's on his second offensive coordinator in 2 years. I mean, if you count college, it'll be his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. I mean, if he wins 8 games, that's a big jump from last year.
Yeah.
You got to give this kid some time. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's not an exact science. I mean, we don't know what the defense is going to be. Is Gonzalez going to be out there? Is he going to contribute all year, or are we going to be talking about this kid's hamstring the whole year,
Okay, so Ron's point is what scares me. And I think too many people are thinking like Ron because, it's not an exact science, but the numbers are the numbers and the trends are the trends. And what was Peyton Manning and the Colts record in his second year as a starter?
I'll find
13-3. Okay. He turned it around completely. I don't even care about the stats. They turned it around completely because Peyton Manning led. He created a culture. He created a standard in the offseason and throughout that second year, and they won games, and they were 13-3 in his second year. Did he win the Super Bowl? Were they good enough to do everything? No, but they turned it around.
And to my point, by the way, 13-3, but started 2-2 with 10 touchdowns and 6 picks.
And I like
and then went on the heater.
That's right.
So, I will objectively, because I say this for my arguments, so just to be intellectually consistent, that's not a word.
I love intellectual consistency. Come on.
You can't go back that far. It's a whole other sport at this point. Like 100%. You can't go back that far, good or bad, whether it helps your argument or hurts it. I don't think it's fair to go back that far.
But I still think that Ron's way of thinking is a little dangerous, and it's trying to get yourself a little bit more comfortable. You need to know that Drake Maye has to produce this year. Maybe it's more in the second half. Maybe there's a surge. That's fine. But this year, they ain't going to be 5-12, and you're going to have this all-star quarterback. It's not going to happen. 617-779-0985. We're going to get an update from Alex. No commercials. Right back here on Felger and Mazz with Mark and Alex, 98.5 The Sport.
Studios, WBZ-FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Mazz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5 The Sports Hub. Paisley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Bottom of the fourth at Fenway, Red Sox and Guardians knotted at 3 apiece. The Sox jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Guardians responded with 3 in the top of the second off Brian Bayo. He's so far allowed those 3 runs with 6 hits through 4 innings. The New England Patriots began their first game week of the season with the practice earlier today. Christian Gonzalez, the lone player not spotted. The Patriots have also named their 6 captains for the season. That's Drake Maye, Hunter Henry, Robert Spillane, Harold Landry, Marcus Jones, and Brendan Schooler. Kayvon Chason will also be a game day captain for Week 1. College football Week 1 wraps up tonight. Bill Belichick makes his UNC debut at home against TCU in a top 10 matchup last night. Number 10 Miami beat number 6 Notre Dame 27-24. And in the WNBA, the Connecticut Sun have fallen to the Atlanta Dream 93-76. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, keeping drains flowing in homes and businesses in the greater Boston area since 1976.